Tommy Walsh and the Irish team ready. This is the 33rd international in this series, with Ireland holding the advantage 16-14 with 2 draws as well. The Australians won the toss and they've opted to play from left to right on a very still evening in Limerick City. Portnagoyle with about 30,000 people here, and the match gets underway. The 2 officials, David Coldrick and Brett Roseberry from Australia. And straight away it's the Australians who try to win this opening tussle in the middle of the park here. And the challenges are expected to be tough and somewhat fierce. Tadhg Kennelly playing in midfield. Midfield partner is Colm Begley at the start of the match, but of course you can use as many as 10 substitutions. 8 players being substituted but rotated 10 times in each quarter, so we'll see players coming on and off quite a lot. McKeever playing it forward here to Tommy Walsh, now playing with St Kilda, putting the pressure on the Australian defence immediately here, and they cope well with that. Get it out as far as Ibbotson. Final clearance there is by Gibbs. Still in play. Pitch is somewhat narrower and somewhat shorter than we are used to when we come here to see hurling and football matches in the championship, as that ball's kicked away by Kevin Riley, again up towards the full forward line, and it's worked in but comes off the post and goes behind it, goes wide. So the first attack of the game failing to produce a score for Ireland. And Sean Kavanagh up there to lend his considerable support. Captain, of course, when the series was won, when it was played in Australia back in 2008. Last time Australia won was here in very dramatic and controversial circumstances 4 years ago. That's kicked away there by Dane Swan, putting the pressure on. Ireland coping well at the back, however. That's Begley. Ireland wearing gold numbers, very difficult to make out for the fans here, as Kevin Riley kicks it in very long, and it comes off the post and it's gone behind. It's just one. First point of the match then goes to Ireland, and Kevin Riley, the one who knocked it in from quite a distance out. There's his kick. Goalkeeper Dustin Fletcher watched it, bounced off the post, but it went behind for just one score. Kicked in here this time. Well taken by the captain, who is Adam Goodes. Twice he's won the Brownlow medal, which is the best and fairest in Australia, their player of the year. Towering figure from the Sydney Swans club. Of course is also the club of Tadhg Kennelly. So a chance of a first score in this match, and that has produced an over, a 3-point score for Adam Goodes. So first 3-pointer of the match. Well, he looked very composed, no real difficulty with the round ball. That's an inviting ball in, comes off the defender, comes back towards Paul Duffield, starting at corner back for the Australians. Gets it out as far as Garrick Ibbotson. Swiftly back inside again. Challenge there was on Kate Simpson, who played in this series in 2008. And the official has decided that it's going to be a free to Ireland. Stevie McDonald will take it, the Irish captain, and easily marked there by Bernard Brogan. Footballer of the year. Let's see how he adjusts to this international rules series. So some 30 metres out from his target, travelling nicely and dropping beautifully over the bar. Bernard Brogan, first 3 of the match. Nice over, and Ireland go back in front again by 4 points to 3. Well, he's adjusted to it very, very quickly indeed. Relatively easy kick by his very high standards. Again, Canty's in here. Kennelly, easily cut out by Jared McVeigh. Swiftly over here as far as Dane Swan. Now carried on here by Matthew Boyd. McVeigh kicking in, well gathered. It was Marty Clark who took the mark. Coming out to take it here is Kennelly. Kevin Riley there just getting ahead of Kieran Jack, who's come in off the interchange bench. Leighton Glynn played superbly in the opening match in 2008 in Subiaco in Perth. That's in towards Bernard Brogan. Now can he get the measure of his man here? He's done well, looks lively. Hits it back here once again. Sean Kavanagh with the kick. And Sean Kavanagh's put it behind for just one. So his first score of the match. A lot of good work done by Bernard Brogan to make it happen for him. Here comes Daniel Cross. Nicely marked. They opt to take it forward here with Brad Green. Got 2 goals in midweek. Goods is coming in on it. Angle almost impossible. And just couldn't quite get sufficient latitude to hit that one in, the Australian captain. But Brad Green with a very decent ball into him. Scored 2 goals against the Cork Colleges on Wednesday night, Green did. Here he is again. Touching it down as far as Kate Simpson and the Carlton player. Good mark. Stephen Cloxton out quickly to appreciate just what was on. Held his nerve. And Canty goes down, takes it. Marks for Ireland. Well, he's an old stager at this particular series. Player of the series for Ireland in 2008. That wasn't the best of passes out, and it gives Australia an opportunity to get a score from that, and they do. Very good over. Nicely done. And that was put over there by James Frawley. Gathered in well this time. This is Paul Duffield. Started at cornerback. But the coach has been emphasising that they are very mobile players and trying to find out exactly who is suited to playing back and who's suited to be playing forward. Montagna in here as far as Daniel Cross. Cross kicking, looks a good one, and that is another red flag. It's an over. Daniel Cross gets one. That's a really good kick. No problems whatsoever with the round ball here. Followed through expertly, right between the posts. 9-5 to Australia. Ireland's turn to attack now, and Ty Kennelly, one of 2 players who are based in Australia at the moment. The other, Tommy Welch, of course, who's been on the periphery of the St Kilda team. Didn't actually play in the AFL yet this season. Looking forward to playing next season. Picken quickly released. In as far as Goods, the team captain. Adam Goods back inside towards Banfield. Keep it going, the official says, and Banfield does. Still going forward. Might have had a goal, he's got 3 instead. Good play there by Todd Banfield from Brisbane. His opening 3-pointer of this match. And it's 12 points to 5. And it's a very good start by Australia. Adam Goods was fouled there, as you can see, by Finian Hanley. The referee said play on, and they did, and scored from it. Now what can Kennelly do here? Up towards Stevie McDonald. Very, very poor marking. Finally going across to him there was James Frawley, but before he could get there, the kick was put in. It's just one. It's gone for a behind for Stevie McDonald. Big cheer from the fans, but he'll be a bit disappointed with that. A lot of the kicking from Ireland in the last couple of series hasn't been as good as you'd expect, playing with the round ball, and he just gets one for his troubles there. 12-6. So Stevie McDonald, having taken the mark from the kick out, has a chance to put it in deep now here. He's going for it, he's got it this time. That's a much better kick, and it's an over for Ireland, for Stevie McDonald. So 2 kicks in the last 60 seconds means he's got 4 points, and now it looks a little brighter for the Irish. They trail by 12 points to 9. Now Brendan Murphy here, the Carlow man. Inside here towards Paddy Keenan, Louth's first All-Star, just a matter of a couple of weeks ago. Ty Kennelly giving it plenty of length, too long this time for Tommy Welch. Well, the pitch is, they say, pretty much the same size as it was when they played in Australia in the two matches in 2008 in Perth and in Melbourne, but it's clearly not as long or as wide as the players in the Gaelic code are used to. Kevin Riley goes long again. Tommy Walsh is the intended recipient. It breaks from him to Paul Duffield. Frawley is marking Kevin Walsh, does a right good job. He's an All-Australian, the equivalent of an All-Star in Gaelic football. Australia hold. Matthew Boyd. Challenges come in. And this time it was a foul by Jack Riewoldt on Graham Canty. And the man from Bantry and West Cork hitting this one as far as Stevie McDonald. It bounced, so it's not a mark. Kevin McKernan coming on to it. Michael Murphy's in there now as well. That's Paddy Keenan. Anthony Tohill using his bench well. He's got 8 substitutes on the bench. The Australians have only 6 because of injuries to 2 of their players, Travis Vasco and David Wojcinski, the 2 Geelong players. Stevie McDonald with this from the mark. Now can he manage to put this over? Ireland with only 2 overs in the opening quarter. It's going to drop short. Dustin Fletcher helped out there. Out it comes towards Kieran Jack. The clearance only as far as the Irishman, and the Irishman in this case is Kevin Riley. Inside as far as Marty Clark, and Marty Clark's got 1. He'd be looking for more than that, but it's his first score in the match. Very enthusiastic support from Ireland, ready to cheer just about anything, even when the ball goes wide according to our Gaelic games. But it means a point in the International Rules Series. Here's Cade Simpson, very much a left footer, up as far as Kieran Jack. Players calling for it inside, they move it swiftly in. And it's Riewoldt again, who's very much a danger man. Jack Riewoldt, he's trying to link up with a colleague, he gives it away. Down into the middle of the park. Ireland tried to build once again. Kennelly, you can pick the ball off the ground here cleanly if you so wish, and Stevie McDonald gave it away to an Australian player, trying to be clever with the flick that time. Didn't quite work out. Sam Gilbert was in quickly. Gilbert, number 14, jumping back once again with Stevie McDonald. Well, he's an experienced player in this code. For some of the others, like Paddy Keenan, it's their first international match. There he is, linking up with Kennelly inside towards Leighton Glynn, and the referee did blow the whistle, and now he's called the play back, and there was no advantage given. Well, that's a pity. I thought the referee was going to allow Leighton Glynn have an advantage. He looked to be in the clear once the ball had been played. They blew for the foul immediately after that on Tadhg Kennelly. So Kennelly's going to take it himself. Will it get inside the left-hand post? Not quite. Well, he's been out of Gaelic football and kicking the round ball for about a year now. And he won an All-Ireland medal with Kerry, of course, back in 2009. So 12 points to 11. Australia still leading. Some 5 minutes into the second quarter. And again it's Kennelly getting a lot of the ball down here into the corner towards Michael Murphy, the Donegal player. Trying to be clever with that one. James Frawley picks it up, however. Dished off there as far as Matthew Boyd. Worked out a defence again. Australia looking very comfortable, but that pass was somewhat telegraphed to Tadhg Kennelly, who you can be certain is well fired up. There are 3 Sydney Swans players, his club, on the Australia squad. They try to get it forward there, Paddy Keenan. Leighton Glynn, who loves this series, is going to have a busy weekend. He's got a Gaelic football match tomorrow in Navan and a hurling match on Monday. He's going to be tired by the time he puts his feet up on Monday night, I can be sure. The free kick is going to be to Australia, and Dane Swan will take it. Let's just look at this again. Kicked ahead by Matthew Boyd. One back again in the middle of the park there by Daniel Goulding. Goulding is just coming off the bench for Ireland, wearing number 9, if he can make it out in the gold numbers. Here he is at the receiving end. Well, now the player who was deemed by many observers to be most unlucky not to get an All-Star, but he has his All-Ireland medal. Kicking it in, Dustin Fletcher rose magnificently. That's brilliantly done by Dustin Fletcher, now 35 years of age. Played in the 05 and 06 series, missed 08. Many people put down the fact that they lost that series to the fact that he wasn't there. He was fouled, as you can see, by Leighton Glynn. Sam Gilbert, he gave that ball away rather easily to Ireland. Several passages of very sloppy play in this international match. First test, still getting used to it. Second game to come in Croke Park next Saturday night. Kicked out by McGeaney, helped out here. Kevin McKernan. In came Matthew Boyd for Australia, looking for Jack Riewoldt. Great mark up there ahead of Canty.
Okay, Graham,
good
right
mark
there.
Taken by the man from Tasmania, playing his
right there. He's okay.
AFL football nowadays in the colours of Richmond. Some 25 metres out from the target. He's dropped it short. Very easy mark for Stephen Cluxton. That's a bad miss. Australia leading by just a point. Should have taken that opportunity. Australia still looking for their first score in this quarter. And nearly 8 minutes played. Meanwhile, it's Ty Kennelly who's got on the ball time and again. Held on too well here by Sean Kavanagh. And Sean Kavanagh will have this shot at the target now. It's going to be about 30 metres out. The mark has been made, so he's got to go back. Follows through well. Has he got the accuracy? The umpires think about it and say, no, it's only one. So just a point, but it means the teams are level. Even just behind that time for Sean Kavanagh gets Ireland a score. Well, the scoreboard is 12 points apiece. And here comes Finian Hanley, worked out into the middle of the park. Kevin Riley lays it off in there. Colin Begley, good movement of the ball, nicely transferred in there brilliantly as far as Daniel Goulding. And from just outside the 20-metre line, having made the mark, he can get the score here. This was lovely football. And now Ireland with a right good chance of getting 3 points here from an over. And Goulding kicks, puts it over, his first score. Ireland shoot back in front again by 15 points to 12. Well, that was the end product of some very good football, the best we've seen from Ireland so far. They're settling into it after an edgy and uncertain opening 18 minutes. Graham Canty's back there, playing as a fullback at this stage. Cluxton. Difficult one over there for Begley to take. It's run on instead.
Up here. First hand up here.
And the player who's just coming off the bench there for Ireland the last couple of minutes is Emmett Bolton. Slipping it here into the middle of the park. Once again, Matthew Boyd. Kicked forward there. Held by Bryce Gibbs. Prodded forward by Montagna. Banfield holds, makes the mark. McVeigh now with this little chip inside towards Riewoldt. Great catch instead by his captain, Adam Goodes. That was a lovely mark taken by Adam Goodes here. Real tower of strength. Came across in front of a couple of players to make it his. And so now from 20 metres out, he'll surely put this one over the bar. No problems whatsoever for Adam Goodes. Nice over, and so the teams are level once again. 15 points apiece in this first opening international rules match of the 2010 series, being played at Port Nagoyle in Limerick. It's come back down here as far as Dangerfield. Forward once more by Boyd for Australia. Knocked ahead by Green. Ireland defending well. They work it out. McNamee.
Yeah, okay.
This time it's Daniel Goulding.
No.
He was fouled. Well taken by Sean Kavanagh. Just inside the 45-metre line in Gaelic football. So having made the mark, now he retreats. The Australian is standing in what they call the spot in front of him, and Kavanagh kicks it somewhat waywardly again, just gets 1 point. Well, again, a big cheer from the fans because Ireland go back into the lead again by 16 points to 15. And as you can see, there's a lot of enthusiastic followers in Portnagoyle here in Limerick tonight to enjoy international football. A year late because it was due to have been here this time last year, but economic circumstances in Australia dictated that the team didn't travel, but they're here in 2010. Referees calling out the number of hand passes because after 4 consecutive hand passes you have to release the ball, kick it. Goods playing it over his head to Matthew Boyd, and I think the hand pass was an illegal one. It wasn't an underhand pass. When the palm of the hand is open like that, you can pass it underhand but not overhand. So as he was playing it over his shoulder that time, foul called against him. Graham Canty in here as far as Kennelly. Players are calling for it. Kennelly goes for it himself. Well, he had the option of using Bernard Brogan and didn't use him. And the pressure will be back on the Irish again here unless they can defend it, as they've done. Cleverly worked in. Leighton Glynn really is taking to this series once again. Fouled by number 32, who's Paddy Dangerfield. Arguing his point there with the referee. Well, Leighton Glynn has been told, go back because you made the mark or you're fouled, one or the other, and wherever it is, the player from the opposing team can stand in the spot and you've got to retreat to take the kick. Kate Simpson kicking it out here. Oof, given straight back to Bernard Brogan. Again, it is Glynn who's out there. The ball was thrown, the referee says. David Coldrick, one of 2 officials in charge, and who's in charge of this year's All-Ireland football final. Jared McVeigh. This is the 3rd hand pass now. They can take 1 more hand pass or kick from here. Matthew Boyd opts to kick. And that's going to go wide of the target there for the player from Western Bulldogs. So Ireland still in front by 16 points to 15. Another 4 minutes in this quarter to go for Anthony Tohill's team. Stevie McDonnell having made the mark, watched by Mick Malthouse. Kevin Riley, huge one down towards Tommy Welch, but the Australian defenders are very strong back there. Gary Goodson getting there, makes the mark. Comes neatly across here as far as James Frawley. And from Melbourne Demons, the club of Jim Steins. This is Jack Revolt, who's come well away from full forward, leaving Adam Goods inside there. McVeigh kicking in. Ireland going in with hands, trying to hold the possession.
Okay.
And the final shot doesn't produce anything.
Put your knees on the ground, okay?
Well, the referee just explaining why he's awarded the free kick to Ireland, picking the ball up with his knees, I think. So Graham Canty will take this free kick. Just about 2.5 minutes still to go to the half-time siren. Ty Kennelly waits for it, about to be challenged by Matthew Boyd.
Come back, Ty, that's it. Your ball.
It's hit into space. Ibbotson watches it, everybody watches it, and finally goes out of play. It's got to be an Australian sideline kick. Ireland ahead in the series over the years by 6-5. Australia's last win for the Cormac McAnallen Cup, of course, was back in 2006. Here's Adam Goods kicking it in long, in as far as Eddie Betts. And Eddie Betts, who plays for Carlton, has this shot on the target now. Some 25 metres out. Betts kicks it well. They look at it. It's over. It's his first over of the match. Good play by the 23-year-old.
Yeah, I think there is a clock.
So Australia lead in the match by 18 points to 16. They didn't do an awful lot for the opening 6-7 minutes of this quarter, but they've come back now with a few scores. McVeigh released as far as Gibbs, asking a lot of the corner forward Eddie Betts once again to get on that one. Played back here by Daniel Cross. Well taken by Graham Canty, Cork and Ireland's full back. Well, this is the player who made a huge difference to Cork's fortunes when he came on in the second half of the All-Ireland final this year against Down. Ireland prepared to hold the possession, use possession sensibly and wisely. Sean Kavanagh involved. Played across here to Graham Canty once again. Very mobile player. Huge one down beyond McVeigh for Australia this time. Back there to gather was Garrick Ibbotson from Fremantle. They hold possession. That's Tyson Goldsack, one of the Collingwood players. Collingwood, the Premiership champions, beat St Kilda's after a replay this month. Dane Swan back out as far as Jared McVeigh again. Into Daniel Cross from Western Bulldogs. Liam Picken hitting it. That's dangerous. Eddie Betts was in there. Goalkeeper did well. And the defenders hold the possession as the siren goes for half-time. And it was...
He topped it up. He topped it up.
Well, there is some little bit of play still before we can take our break here. The siren has gone, but the kick has been awarded to Australia. And Todd Banfield...
Just one, lads, okay?
So one kick still to go.
Okay.
And Australia will take the lead with them to the half-time break one way or the other anyway. That's Todd Banfield from Brisbane. Got a nice over already in this match. Looking for another one. It cracks off the post. It goes over the bar. He gets a second over. So 6 points his tally in this match as the half-time whistle here goes at Limerick. So there are some 5 points between them. Welcome back to Limerick, ready for the second half here, where Australia are leading in the match by 21 points to 16. Lots of Irish fans here on a lovely night in Limerick, but they're hoping for something more to cheer about than they witnessed in the opening two quarters, where Ireland only managed to get 3 overs, 7 behinds, against 7 overs, no behinds for Australia. And to put a bit of flesh on that, it means in Gaelic terms, if this were a Gaelic football match, Ireland are losing the game at the moment by 7 points to 3. So 3 over the bars by Ireland, playing with their round ball. Hardly a lot to write home about. Let's see what happens in the second half, as that's picked up there by Bryce Gibbs. Surrendered immediately, however, to Brendan Murphy. Comes back towards Clark. Eventually it's Kavanagh kicking it into the corner, what the Australians call the pocket. And eventually it's going to be an Ireland ball. Clever play there by Colin Begley. Ball has gone behind for a 45 right on the side of the field here, which is going to be taken by Marty Clark. Played 46 games for Collingwood before opting to come back to play in the Gaelic football season here this year with Down. Did so effectively. Tyson Goldsack kicking it out here as far as Todd Banfield. Breaks back to Kevin Riley, got the opening point of the match. It was a behind. Colin Begley in over Bernard Brogan. Really the amount of possession that the forwards for Ireland have been getting has been very, very poor. And the link-up play hasn't been what you'd expect. Haven't made the most in particular of Bernard Brogan. We've seen a lot of Graham Canty and a lot of Ty Kennelly. Kennelly not starting the second half, given a rest. Stephen Cluxton kicking it over the head there of the Australian, who is Revolt. Forward by Begley for Ireland. Revolt goes back, makes it his. And then from the middle of the park, it's Daniel Cross. Again Revolt. They try to take the mark but fail to do so, and Ireland have the opportunity to win it back again, and this time it's Brendan Murphy. Revolt gets it from him, however, and back there to make sure the vice-captain of Ireland, Finian Hanley, the Galway man, can't afford to play around with it back there. They get it out sufficiently, out as far as Brendan Murphy once again. Looking for Kevin Riley, it bounced on the ground, so it's not a mark. He hand passes it, and Revolt gets in the hand ahead of Colin Begley, who puts in the challenge. One back there by Daniel Cross for Australia, and Jack Revolt just waiting for the ball to go out over the sideline, and it'll be a line ball down the field for Australia. Well, the fans here have been full of encouragement. They've been in since about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Almost a lovely crisp afternoon down here by the River Shannon. But they're looking for some fireworks from their team and from the match in general. It's been disappointing so far. That's fisted away by Tyson Goldsack. Line ball to Ireland, and the men with the gold numbering ready to take the line ball over the far side. Stevie McDonnell looking for a run here, and there was he was on his knees by the time he was getting there, Marty Clark, so referee has decided he fouled the ball. Liam Picken kicking it for Australia towards Tom Banfield, beats everybody, take it in there by Sam Gilbert, out here into the wing, doing well to keep it in play there, Dane Swan, who was a real star in the replay of the grand final beginning of October. Terrific drawn grand final this year in Australia between Collingwood and St Kilda. Collingwood now the champions. They had a very, very easy win in the replay. Boyd, cross over there as far as Bryce Gibbs from Carlton. Satanto Halpines club, of course, and that's fisted away there by Graham Canty. So a line ball to Australia, leading in the match by 21 points to 16. Last time the Australians were on Irish soil in 2006, they also won the opening game over in Galway. So it's traditional for Ireland to win the opening match. Let's see what they can do tonight, as that ball is kicked with the outside of the boot by Matthew Boyd. It gets him just a point, but it's the first point of the second half for either team, and it's come 10 minutes into the third quarter, which tells you about the certain lack of quality in tonight's match so far. Jack Revolt back towards Jared McVeigh, held there for Daniel Cross, being pointed in the direction of the Irish goal. Kate Simpson waits, he's 45 metres out from the Irish goal, just holds on, takes his time, lobbing it in, looking for his team captain, who Goods fumbles. A nice dry night. Simpson again, slipping it in here. Back there, however, is Kieran McKeever, and the Armagh player back as far as another Armagh on Stevie McDonnell. You begin to wonder, what's McDonnell doing back in his own defence? But the ball hasn't been going forward often enough. Here's the skipper once again. This time he's the provider. Into Ty Kennelly, who's just come off the bench, having been rested by the management for the opening minutes of the third quarter. That's nicely taken by Tommy Walsh. Good mark. Dangerous position now from an Australia point of view, and Ireland beginning to appreciate just how they must work the ball into tricky situations from an Australia point of view and get themselves scoring opportunities. Walsh kicks, Walsh puts it between the posts and over, and it's Ireland's fourth over of the match, first score of the third quarter, and it's 22 points to 19. Good kick by Tommy Walsh. From the kick out, great mark taken by Bryce Gibbs. Here's McVeigh. Gibbs again. They play it tight. McVeigh looking around, opting to go back as far as the defender, who is Tyson Goldsack. Now they work it forward once more. James Frawley, anxious to get away from his full back position, no doubt, because Australia very, very competent on the ball, very assured looking. Daniel Cross,
Relax, wait for the ball.
Terrific athletes. This is Lee Montagna, who's been a wonderful servant of St Kilda's over the years. Disappointed this year in the grand final. So Montagna, ready to have a go at this one. 40 metres out from the goal, follows through brilliantly and puts it over. That's a wonderful kick there by Lee Montagna. And Australia stretch their advantage here in Limerick. It's back to a 6-point game once again. Australia 25, Ireland 19.
Emmett, you have to relax. Don't play the ball, okay? Just play the ball, all right?
Well, so far so good from an Australia point of view. What can Ireland do? Traditionally, the third quarter has been the quarter where Irish teams have suffered in the past, and the quarters where they've done best have been the opening two.
What?
So a bit of a battle on their hands right now for this Irish squad. Emmett Bolton back there, takes it back. 3 hand passes made, so he has to kick, and the kick is out of play. Emmett Bolton called in as a substitute along with Niall McNamee. Well, they're looking for some inspiration from somewhere. Mick Malthouse, meanwhile, perfectly happy. Game's going well from his point of view. Terrific coach.
Good.
A little bit of movement here. Dane Swan showing awareness. Inside towards Jack. Picked up by Eddie Betts instead. That's as good as any corner forward anywhere in Gaelic football. He's only 5'7". This is really good play here by Australia. And Eddie Betts from Carlton has got another. And it's 28-19. And the Irish fans silent very much in Limerick right now. Not a great deal to cheer about. Mostly Australia. 4 minutes still to go to the end of this quarter. Well, it's not a quarter that Ireland will look back on terribly fondly. Only 1 over to show for it. Loads of pressure. Lee Montagna again.
That's okay. That's all right.
One of those
Don't move in, Emmett.
players playing for Australia who's got a fair bit of experience at this stage of this game. Again, a good-looking kick. Has he got a second? He has. Another over for Lee Montagna. Wonderful play. And the Australian fans who are here in Limerick are making themselves heard and noticed. They lead 31-19. Well, already the lead is very considerable, and Anthony Tohill will be hoping that his side can get a couple of scores before the end of this quarter. Don't want to leave it all for the last 18 minutes, but they just can't get the ball past the Australia half-back line and get it into their forwards. Ireland playing like a team of individuals against the greater cohesiveness that we're witnessing from the full-time professionals from the AFL. And they're coming again, Australia. Once more Kate Simpson, that left boot of his. Finian Hanley, the fullback for Australia, fumbled by Clark but does enough on it, gets it out here. In difficulty was McNamee. Clark showing awareness, kicked in there, difficult one to contain, but Kevin Riley did enough. Takes the mark, but look how far back they are. Just behind him there is the 20-metre line. They're almost pinned back in their own half during this third quarter, and then inexplicably they kick the ball away out of play. Changes being made. He's just brought back in Kevin McKernan into the half-back line. Each team able to use their substitutes 10 times during a quarter as Kate Simpson kicks, and Kate Simpson hits another really good looking shot, but it's just gone to the left of the post. Gets one. Not too much in that one. Shake of his head, I think he felt it was over. Hit it well, but it's a period of tremendous dominance by Australia. Well, a miserable 19 points so far for Ireland, with nearly 3/4 of this match gone. A dreadful display in front of goal when they do get the ball in terms of kicking accurately.
Sorry.
All the pressure on the backs, and Stephen Cluxton will be mindful of one thing anyway, and he hasn't conceded a goal so far because, of course, it's 6 points for a goal. Seems to be Ireland's best hope if they can get the ball forward into their attack to try and go for goals at this stage. Tadhg Kennelly fouled, 45 metres out from his own goal. Opts to play on with Graham Canty. Challenged and fouled there, it seemed, by Dangerfield, but allowed an advantage. McNamee kicks it ahead. Ireland challenged. Here's an opportunity. Let's see what they can produce here now. It was McKernan kicking that one, and that one is still in play. Leighton Glynn here. Just watch as McKernan was kicking it, going for a score. Right across here, but the mark well taken by Leighton Glynn. And Leighton Glynn has this opportunity of another score for Ireland, and a rare score at that in the third quarter. Only 3 points to show so far. And we're almost at the end of the quarter, almost 18 minutes played, and he taps it over the bar. It might yet be a very, very valuable three-pointer for Ireland. Leighton Glynn making it 32 points to 22. So 10 between them. The score so far, 10 overs, 2 behinds for Australia against 5 overs and 7 behinds for Ireland. And Australia come looking for more, and there's a good mark by Matthew Boyd, the Western Bulldogs player. So a chance for another 3 here for Australia. And before the game, Anthony Toll was saying to us just how important it is to do well in the first test, because the Australians are expected to get better by the time we get to the second match in Croke Park. Well, Matthew Boyd's just got 1 that time, so it's an 11-point difference. Really good opportunity for him. Bear in mind something that Matthew Lappin was saying to me before the game. He's one of the Australian selectors. They've only had a week and a half with this team to play with the round ball. The grand final, as was mentioned, went to a replay this year. It meant that the Australians didn't really complete their season until the first weekend of October. So the pressure on Stephen Cluxton, but it's Ireland trying to get the ball down the other end of the field, and Cluxton comes out, and the crowd cheer. At least it gives them something to cheer about. Might get something else to cheer about now. Stevie McDonald going down. Dane Swan, the player who was putting in the tackle, had to release the ball. When you don't do so, it's a free against you. Swan takes it towards Adam Goods. It's a really impressive, athletic kind of footballer. Up towards Jakovic, and the spine of the team is so strong, from Frawley at fullback all the way through up as far as Goods and Revolt. Very fine team of footballers from Australia this year, and bear in mind they're having to play tonight's match with just 21 players, 6 substitutes, 2 of their panel members out with injuries. Revolt shows his lack of familiarity with the round ball with that particular kick, but there was a foul. Puzzled look on the face of Graham Canty. Free to Australia, and it's going to be taken by Daniel Cross. So Cross is a good 35 metres out from the Irish goal. Going to have a go now and see if he can put it between the posts. All scores at this stage will do very nicely, and this time the umpires decide yes, it was an over. They were a bit slow about indicating, but 3 points there for Daniel Cross. Well, the team have really got to give the fans something to cheer about. The fans in Limerick are more than willing to cheer during the breaks in play here. They've been enjoying the music, great entertainment, but it's on the field that they really want to see the entertainment and the entertaining done. It's mostly Australia applying the pressure and Ireland on the back foot. Adam Goods just waiting, no particular hurry. So early stages in the fourth quarter, and this held by Kate Simpson, and from the mark it'll suit a left-footed kicker here to belt it in and see what happens, try and work it in perhaps. Well, he's going for it and he's got 1, but these little totals now adding up each point they get. Now Ireland looking for a bit of finish here and looking for an attack. Riley kicking it in, and there was holding inside, which wasn't of the legal nature. And Sean Cavanagh is ready to kick this one and try to give Ireland something to cheer about, and looking for a first point of the fourth quarter. That's what was needed. That's gone over. Red flag raised. So Sean Cavanagh with an over, and he narrows the gap, eats into the deficit. 37 points to 25.
Okay.
Well, Ireland needing to create some more opportunities like that. That's Kevin Riley. Very big, strongly built fellow. Good ball down. It bounces awkwardly in there for Sean Cavanagh, who's got into full forward. Australia dealing with it, out to Cade Swan. Kicked away in the end by Bryce Gibbs. Anybody's ball really as it bounces down. Brendan Murphy collecting it, losing it. Back it comes towards Dane Swan again. Intended for Adam Goodes, who Cluxton's out resourcefully, uses his left boot. I was mentioning earlier, he plays almost like a sweeper behind the full back line. Very alert play by the goalkeeper. Now Ireland need to be a bit more careful with it, and Dane Swan is gifted that ball by McKeever. Goodes off the crossbar, and it has gone over. Should have gone under for the only and first goal of this match. Adam Goodes denied, but he gets 3 points instead of 6. Well, McKeever lost it. Australia took it forward with some pace and purpose, and Adam Goodes here was trying to flick it in past Cluxton and was out of luck. It's 40 points to 25. The mark taken by Cluxton has been by far the busier of the two goalkeepers. One of the points that was being made by observers of this code leading into this match was that you must try and test the Australian goalkeeper, as he doesn't play in goal normally, but he hasn't really been tested. Cross. Fumble there by Patrick Dangerfield, and Dangerfield recovers his composure to crack it over the bar and to get another 3 for Australia, and they are making it look very, very easy, as they have done since half-time. So 8.5 minutes into the final quarter, and it's 43 to 25. Now Ty Kennelly trying to give some example to Ireland. It's held there by Bernard Brogan. Haven't seen enough of him. The ball hasn't come his way. Cavanagh with another chance, but this one is a behind, and he gets just 1. Disappointing finish. Crowd prepared to cheer and to encourage the Ireland at every possible opportunity, but his team needs to get the ball forward and needs to threaten Australia a little bit more than they've done so far. Lee Montagna having made the mark. Cross. Back once again to the St Kilda player. Towards Goodes from the Sydney Swans. Down it came to Begley. Ireland have it back. Goulding. Kicked ahead here. Neatly marked by the team captain. Good play by Stevie McDonald, the 31-year-old, playing in his 8th international rules match here. And the captain has this kick now from 45 metres out. Travelling goalwards. Does it make it? It does. It's needed. Boy, was it needed, because the Australians were threatening to run away with this match and the series. 43-29. Great kick by Stevie McDonald. Got 4 points in the first half. Ball kicked out of play there by Dane Swan. Ireland have the line ball, and it's fisted back in by Kevin Riley to Leighton Glynn. Riley again, and hauled down by a combination of players. Has to release the ball. Australia's possession. Puzzled look on Riley's face. Meanwhile, Australia nice and composed, nice and neat, doing their business very, very tidily here. Jared McVeigh, no particular hurry. That superior fitness, you would imagine, would be in evidence for Australia in the fourth quarter of any match. This is kicked ahead by James Frawley. Spills away past Dangerfield. Gets a boot to it nonetheless. Oh, out of nothing. Got a point. Good play by Australia. Not prepared to give up. Kieran Jack in at the end of that one. So the Australia management team, I'm certain, will be very pleased with the way things have gone in this match so far, as Boyd kicks it back in and gets a return, fed to McVeigh, hand pass forward towards Goods. He's been denied a goal earlier on, tries to lob it again, but this time puts it over. He's a very, very classy player, the team captain for Australia, Adam Goods. Here's Riley. Well, a goal, if they could get the ball into a goal-scoring opportunity, would give Ireland a chance, but they're struggling to get it past the halfway line. It's back with Dane Swan again. Back in here towards Sam Gilbert. Referee is pulling him this time for 4 hand passes, and the 5th hand pass being a foul. Here's Leighton Glynn. Bernard Brogan. Now here's the chance. Brogan, footballer of the year. Ireland need a goal. He's got it! That's brilliant. That's excited the crowd. Watch Bernard Brogan go right through the heart of the Australia defence and crack it with his right boot and hit it mercilessly in past Dustin Fletcher. First goal of the game, only goal so far. 47 to 35. Now Ireland maybe have a chance. Deep into the 4th quarter. Forward by Murphy, that's Brendan Murphy. Held here well. Ireland have it forward. Kicked in by James Kavanagh, the Kildare player. Back it comes again, and that's kicked over the bar, is it? Yes, it is. Nice point taken there by Kevin McKernan. One of the stars of Downs' march to the All-Ireland final. So Ireland get a goal and an over in the last few minutes, and there are still 3 minutes to play in Limerick towards the end of the opening test of the 2010 series in international rules. Here's Kennelly again, storming forward, quickly released to Stevie McDonnell, going for it. Ireland playing with a much more impressive spring in their step. He gets one. In Gaelic he'd be ruining his luck at missing the chance, but in international rules he's got a point. And now it's 47-39, where once there were 15 between them. Ireland eating into the Australia lead. 8 points between the sides. Can Ireland get even closer? Kavanagh back to Kennelly. Finally back as far as Cloxton. Booted out towards Begley. Marked. Holds on to it. Brendan Murphy carries it on. Challenged by Sam Gilbert. One-handed, however. And the official blows his whistle, and that's going to be a free kick to Ireland. You've got to challenge and tackle with both your hands, not one. Brendan Murphy will take this. 2 minutes to go in Limerick. Huge one down. Inside towards Tommy Walsh. Spills around there. Leighton Glynn. Down goes Dustin Fletcher. In comes the boot there of Michael Murphy. And the referee has blown the whistle. Free out to Australia. Close run thing. Australia now will try to hold the possession and use it intelligently. That's Garrick Ibbotson going on a little wander himself, then gives the ball away to James Kavanagh. Kavanagh was being held. Free kick awarded to Ireland. Nearly 17 minutes of the 4th quarter have now been played, which means we've just got a minute to go. Ireland in a hurry, trying to peg back the lead a little bit more and give themselves something to aim at in the second match in Croke Park in 7 days' time. Begley across, dangerously taken, and taken in well there by Dustin Fletcher. Out it comes to Liam Picken for Australia. He kicks it away, only as far as Ty Kennelly. Back in once again to Leighton Glynn. Breaks back towards Marty Clark. Inside towards Tommy Welch. He makes the mark, he's got the shot. 25 seconds or thereabouts to go to the end of the 4th quarter, and it'll be a shot on goal for Tommy Welch. It's 47 to 39. If it goes over, we'll be back to a 5-point difference. Oh, it's not going to curl sufficiently. Best he can hope for is one. It's a missed opportunity. White rather than a red flag waved by the umpire down there is Maurice Deegan. And it's 47 to 40. Time almost up. the end of the first test. Australia were leading by 15 points at one stage. Adam Goodes has starred in this game. The ball is kicked out. Kavanagh goes to make that possession his. It bounces kindly. Murphy gets it. There's the siren, and that's the end of the action from Limerick and the opening test, which has been won by Australia. They have a second test to look forward to, and Anthony Towell will have his men well primed at the end of a game here, where Australia has won by 47 points to Ireland's 40.
In the end, it was okay, but with 10 minutes to go, it looked as if the series was beyond us. We didn't play well for the first 3 quarters of the game. We really struggled to get to grips with the way Australia were playing, and they were the dominant team throughout most of the game. But thankfully, our lads, they showed a lot of pride in that last quarter, and we threw caution to the wind. We went at them, and in fairness, great credit to the lads. They brought it back now to what is really only a 2-point lead in Gaelic football. So it's set up nicely for the second test in Dublin.
The game's played over 4 18s, and there's going to be highs and lows and fluctuations, and the crowd got right behind the side when they got that under and reduced the margin. But the game, as I say, it's played over 4 quarters. It's played over 18 minutes per quarter. I thought we controlled enough of it. The stats will show that it was relatively even. It's fantastic to come away with the first up win.
When you were about 15 points down and time was running out on the fourth quarter, did you think the series was more or less gone at that stage?
Well, it's never gone. We created enough scoring chances tonight. If we had our shooting boots on, who knows what the score would have been. But certainly, the goal did bring us back into it, and the fighting spirit that we showed, the character that we showed, was tremendous. And we have a fighting chance of winning the Croke Park next Saturday evening.
Yeah, some of the views on tonight's match, and of course Gerard Canning, your commentator at the Gaelic Grounds in Limerick. Here in studio, Kevin McStay and Colin O'Rourke. Kevin, 7 points in it. It could have been worse, as we heard there.
Yeah, I think Anthony Towell summarised it absolutely perfectly. 15 down in the fourth quarter. Ireland hadn't won any of the quarters at that stage, and they made the best, the best they could of it. Like at that stage, I would have said ball burst, game over for next week. There's going to be no Croke Park effort. And they got the goal. Bernard Brogan got a fantastic goal and then followed up with a quick over. So the game is still on, but there is so much work for Ireland to do. They were poor. In a tame enough match, Ireland were poor. So they've lots to do.
We'll look at some of that later on, Colin O'Rourke, but just picking up on that point, tame, says Kevin, talking to some of the people around the sports department here, they said, it just simply lacked intensity. And yet, when it's a boxing match, we don't like that either.
No, but it's become very sanitised now, and you could see even from the crowd reaction there was nothing to get the crowd going. OK, the Bernard Brogan goal was the first time the crowd became involved, apart from the breaks when the announcer was trying to get some life into them. It must have been a fairly boring night for them, and I think just as well Bernard Brogan got that goal, or would have killed the attendance for next Saturday night. But for me it was a dreadful performance of the basic skills of Gaelic football, catching and kicking, and I think it's shown and demonstrated very clearly by the fact that Ireland scored 8 points, if you take it as 8 points in our game, as against 14 points for the Australians. So I don't think there was much competition to Mary Byrne on the X Factor tonight.
The fact that there was a gap of 4 years since this was played last, Kevin, and fellas obviously trying to get back up to speed again, had that anything to do with it?
Well, 4 years since it was last played in Australia, but the 08 series was a reasonable one, but it has been, I think I couldn't agree more with Colm. The Irish guys and the Australians, they can't get the balance just right, the tempo of the game. It was too tame tonight. The previous ones, the 06 ones, were horrible, but we just haven't got the balance right, and that therein is the problem, because that's the attraction for the crowd, just that on the edge but within the rules, and tonight didn't have that. But one other one, Colm, you're talking about numbers there, the amount of...
in studio, kind of just to pick up on the point you were making before the break there about the number of wides that Ireland had, looking at some of the scores that Australia got, they seem to adapt to this game faster than we did.
Yes, well, they scored 14 of our points as against 8 for us, and they had the better kickers. And it's part of the malaise of our game, of course, that kicking has been replaced by hand passing, and we can see the Australians, they were very comfortable with the round ball, even though they haven't had much time. And I think this is Montagna here again perfect technique around the corner, drops the ball with his right hand onto his right foot. And they obviously have spent a bit of time on their own maybe. And Eddie Betts here again. We didn't have many of these sort of scores from the Irish team tonight. And again, poor marking by the Irish. Montagna again over on that left hand side of the pitch, able to come in and arc the ball over, spin the ball from right to left like any good Gaelic footballer would be proud of that score.
Great one,
and you know, a lot of the Irish fellas didn't kick as well as this. And then the best player probably for Australia tonight, Adam Goodes, who plays with Sydney Swans and has played very well in all these series over the years. He was the top scorer tonight with 12 points, and you know, he was probably the best player. Cade Simpson was also very good. And overall, I thought the Australian kicking of the ball was better than the Irish kicking, which is probably just, you know, a demonstration of the way the different skills of our game have gone.
We certainly can't take away from the Australians tonight because they deserve their win, Kevin. But at the same time, if you look at some of the Irish play, we contributed to the fact that we lost this match ourselves.
Yeah, there was a lot of it was sloppy, and I suppose to reinforce the point that Colm is making, when it came to what was once basic skills, you know, they were poor. That's all you can say. They were poorly executed. You know, that's Emmett Bolton driving the ball. He is a kid though, gets on his left side. Same with Kevin Riley, and these are just being fanged out over the sideline. And the possessions are crucial. Here's Sean McDermott making, you know, a basic error when ball is crucial. And it's just, even one like this where he's not been marked. Michael Murphy has not been marked because it's a free, or he's got it as a result of a mark. So there's no pressure on him, and he turns quickly onto his left to put a curler over. He doesn't make even the behind, doesn't even get a single. And then tiredness or sloppiness. Kieran McKeever, if this had been a goal column, it's definitely the game is wrapped.
Yes.
But Goodes fists it onto the crossbar, and it goes over for a 3 instead of a 6. So there was a lot of sloppy play, but maybe that's good for Anthony Toll as they phase into the week that's in it, and as management. They have a lot to work on, and it's always good to have something to work on. And the bottom line is there's only 7 points in it, and that's, you know, 2 scores essentially.
And in fairness to Anthony Toll and his backup team, they have put a lot of effort into this going into this test series, Colin. There's no question about that.
And I think he's been very well organised, and the training has been good, the preparation has been excellent, and I think Anthony will be very disappointed with the level of performance by the Irish players, because there are very few Irish players played up to the sort of standing that we expect of them when they're representing their own counties. Now, the likes of Kevin Riley I thought was good. Tadhg Kennelly got on a lot of ball, but he kicked poorly, which is probably, you know, he's been in Australia. And maybe our best player of all was Stephen Cluxton. He was very good in goals, and Leighton Glynn from Wicklow was good. But a lot of our top class players just didn't do well tonight.
Our AFL players were disappointing. We had 5 or 6 with a lot of AFL, and outside Tadhg Kennelly was very busy on the ball, and rotated around the middle of the field and put a lot of ball through his hands. But our other ones, you know, Begley, Murphy, Tommy Walsh to a certain extent, we would expect it to lead it. Didn't happen for them tonight, essentially.
And the big worry about it from Anthony Toll's point of view was the failure to create goal chances. You know, normally we get 3 or 4 goals in these sort of games. In this case, you know, we created and dispatched one excellently by Bernard Brogan, but you know, a lot of players were getting the ball in forward positions and deciding to take a mark and maybe go for 3 points. A lot of them were missed. Instead of trying to play on fast and get goals, because we won't beat Australia next week unless we get 3 or 4 goals.
One positive out of it is when the pressure was on, when it looked like that series was beginning to slip away, or they were going to build up a gap going into the second one that would be too big to mount, Ireland did make a comeback.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, and you know, the game, if it had to go on for another 5 minutes, it would have been good from an Irish point of view. But this was with 3 or 4 minutes left in the game. Colin Begley with a great long ball up, Leighton Glynn with a pass, and that's what we want. Fellas running straight at the Australians, because they're not able to cope that well with it, and stuck it in the net. And then, you know, everybody upped it a gear for the last few minutes, and the crowd got behind the team. Irish players are starting to pour forward here. And Kevin McKernan, who had started the move, ended up finishing.